Brandon, that's it, man. Part 8, we are done.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Part 8 was pretty weak, especially following Part 7. But it had a few funny moments. Of course, everyone's going to complain that it spent too much time on the ship and not enough time in real New York. And the stuff with the little baby Jason was a little weird as a little boy. And then the ending part where he was melted by the sewer acid, where he was saying mommy in a child's voice. It was just kind of unusual. It didn't match the previous films.
What did you think of the final film, Part 8?
They should have stopped at 7. That 8 was bad.
Yeah.
The makeup on Jason was really bad. He looked like a little Disney, like I was going through a ride and he popped out and his head spun around. But he was bad. And then not really many memorable kills I can think of. The girl with the guitar was kind of cool, but a lot of them pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
The kills.
Definitely. This one felt longer than any of the other ones. It felt just the whole movie was long, and I've never liked it too much. I like them all for certain reasons, but this one would be viewed least on my list just because there's nothing truly. Jason looks really bad. I mean, Kane does a good job, but there's no standout characters. The story doesn't make any sense. It's really stupid. I kind of like the soundtrack. I kind of like the New York stuff. How did you feel about Part 8?
Part 8 had some good deaths, some good 80s to 90s transition fashion and, music. I like that period, and as we joked about, you can feel the origin of a lot of our favorite movies, the Ninja Turtles and Batman. They all have that same New York vibe. But yeah, I like the boxing decapitation was probably my favorite death. There were some good pissed off Jason moments, throwing people into walls, mirrors. Some good hits, some good sound effects.
Yeah. Overall, I think it's a weak film, but it has some parts that are fun still.
It's a weak film, but yeah, exactly, it's fun. And it's near the bottom of all of them. It's not my least favorite, but it's one of the lesser. It's bottom 3.
What do you think about Part 8?
8 is kind of a mixed bag. I'm not going to act like there are not parts in it that are not either really corny or just... The makeup is the biggest disappointment, on top of the fact that it's Jason on a boat more than it is in him in New York, really. And that's kind of a little bit of a tease, because I like a lot of old 80s New York films, Ghostbusters, Turtles, different things like that. But I also don't think it's as bad as, there's still a few others that I know I like, less than 8. So,
what do you think is probably the best thing 8 had going for it? What do you think it did do right?
The best thing 8 had... I like the look of it, and I like the music. I like this. The soundtrack's pretty... I actually have the soundtrack and I've listened to the songs, and they're good. And the main girl, she's attractive, but nothing's really compelling about it. The New York accents and everything, it's just so ridiculous. But I think it's one of those things if this was the first one you rented and you love it, I can totally see why. But just for me, it's never been one of my favorite ones. You can see why this series got sold off after this.
Yeah, you can see they were it was getting to that point.
Could you kind of put them in order the way you like them?
Yeah, they kind of... I think if I had written down this is kind of the plot of this one and this one, I'd be able to remember them better. I think my favorite was 4, because I felt like it was the most movie to me as far as all the elements. Then 7. Then maybe I would go 1, because it's the origin, which is always a good one. 2, because it's the introduction of Jason. What was 6? What was that one?
That was the one with the funny stuff in it.
Oh, that was bad. Eight's the worst, 6 is second worst, so then 3 is 3D. So,
And then 5.
yeah. Okay, so I would go 4, 7,
1,
1,
2,
2, 5,
6,
6, 8. Oh, 3, 6, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Having thought about them, seen them all now, how would you probably rank them? How would you put them in what order?
For me, it's 4 is my favorite, and I like 7 a lot too, so that's right there. Then it probably goes to number 2, number 5, number 1, 6, 3, and 8, probably. Okay. Yeah, for me. So would you be able to rank them pretty quickly?
All the films?
Yeah.
No, they're too mixed up for me. I would just say my favorite one was number 7. There's you get in there in 3, 4, 5, and 6. They kind of blend into each other. So, but I'd say probably 7 is my favorite.
How would you rank them?
Probably 7's still number 1 for me. 4, 2, 1, 5, 6, 8, 3. Probably in that order.
Just like 3 the most.
Yeah, just because, I mean, it's not that it's bad. I mean, I will admit, I'm pretty forgiving of these. There's not really... The bad ones for me get at 9 and 10, actually. That's when it gets really bad, but we didn't quite make it to that.
So how do you feel about this would be your second time? You did Nightmare and you did this.
And
to me, you should be kicked out of the club for not enduring the hardest ones
right.
we ever did.
That's why I'm saying
But you didn't live in the state at the time, so you
Yeah.
can pass on that. But you're here, you're back, you're living closer now, so you should be able to come if we do it.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, it is hard to do it. This kind of thing you can't always, especially if someone has families and everything. But if we could do it anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year, that'd be perfect. And I would come back every single time. But if we did another one, I would like to do a really painful one. Like just one that all of us would be unanimous. I mean, not Land Before Time, bad, but yeah, this one felt much easier than Nightmare.
Yeah.
I remember when we finished Nightmare and it was one movie less. I thought I couldn't even appreciate New Nightmare. It was so tiring. It was exhausting.
How would you rank the films in order?
Worst to best?
Best to worst.
Best to worst. 7's still my favorite. I know the beginning's somewhat weak, but it's still my favorite. 7, then 4, then 2, then the first one, then probably 5, 8, 3, and 6.
Okay.
How would you say fatigue is concerned as far as today's?
Yeah, it's real tired today. Now, I feel like for the first time today, my brain's not firing 100%. My eyes are pretty tired. All right, Adam, we just finished up part 8 and the entire marathon. How do you feel?
Fine.
You had no problems with it.
No,
Another day in the park.
yeah. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
Pretty normal Saturday for you.
Yeah, I usually I usually do it with pornography, but this was not too bad.
I feel great. I know that at this point, if we were deciding to go further, I think I could go at least a couple more, finish it all the way to 10.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, it's enough. The 8 will be. It's 8's a sweet spot.
That's a good place to stop.
Glad we're done. Tired. I want to go home, take a shower, take my contacts out.
Oh shit! You wore your contacts. Not a good idea.
All the time. So
Yeah.
But otherwise, had fun. It was good to do it again, and for overall the series, I thought it was a pretty good film series. I enjoyed watching them.
So now that we've gone through all 8 and you've seen them, how do you feel about the franchise as a whole, or at least the Paramount films?
Right. All of them stick pretty close to the formula, barring the first one, in the sense that the killers, of course, Mrs. Voorhees, but they all stick to the pretty good formula of kind of building the story, introducing characters, getting to the killing pretty quickly, they're not too drawn out. They're not. I don't know. They stick to the formula pretty well. They're consistent.
As far as the franchise go, you've seen them all. You're kind of a fan, so how was it for you?
It was cool. I honestly, Nightmare I like a lot as well, obviously. But Nightmare, I didn't realize until we sat down and watched them all that there are some that are very hard to watch, and then there are some that are just so easy to watch. And this one, if anything, doesn't have a lot of extreme highs. You really get a certain momentum throughout, and it only comes later that they start messing with stuff because they've been out for a long time. But overall, I think the Jason films they're fun. Friday 13th movies are great. It's just some of them, I guess, are more corny than others, just like the James Bond movies.
So any last words for Friday fans specifically, since you are a huge fan of both, really?
Yeah, I love this franchise. It was fun to have somebody here who's never seen them, and also some people who had only seen a couple of them, and we all had a good time. I can tell you we had some good laughs. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves.
We even had a little show up, little cameo.
We had a little cameo. Jason did show up before 8. We got started with 8, which maybe we can share some of that footage. Yeah. Would you say you've never seen these films before today? Do you see why there's such a huge fan base for them? Or is that still kind of weird to you?
I get it. But I think horror and gore always will have kind of a fan base. And I think if I had watched them as a kid, I would be way more prone to having much more of an appreciation for them.
Right.
But when I watch them, they are kind of schlocky, and they come off as kind of cheesy at times and stuff. But I totally get if I'd watched them growing up, it would just be in my youth tapestry, and I'd really appreciate it. But
would you watch them again?
I'd definitely watch 7 again.
Yeah.
And the first one, probably. Just because of it's I mean, it's not like a very important historical film, but it has history to it,
Right.
And I'd like to see some of the later films. I know they're terrible, but just to see them, I haven't seen any of the films after
Yeah, I
this.
guess that's a good point. That's not all of the movies. So we may have to do a mini festival to get them all in here at some point. Would you say that it was easier than you thought?
Yeah, I mean, I knew you guys had built it up, and I'm thinking about the police academies and the ones that you said were insufferable. So, knowing this was my first and this was the longest you'd ever done, that made it intimidating. But no, it was pretty easy.
First, can you take it? What do you think?
it's done. I'm glad it's over. I had fun, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I'm ready to get home and go to bed.
Yeah.
Even though it's not like even crazy late, it's just like your mind is just mush at this point from watching the same thing over and over again.
Do you think it's from like taking in the movies? Because basically we've just sat on the couch, but we're tired, like we've been working or doing something important.
Yeah. I think just staring at screens for that long just messes with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about now that I know you're a huge fan of Nightmare, obviously, and you've seen all the series a number of times. Having done both now, Can You Take It? How would you say those two experiences were?
It feels like this one was easier, even though it was 8 movies. But I'm a bigger fan of Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, and
Because I remember some of the later ones are very painful.
they're bad. Whereas this one never got that bad. So I would say, as far as a festival goes, this came out better. I feel like this came out easier. Everyone enjoyed them.
Right.
There
a lot more
were
high and lows with the Nightmare.
Yeah, definitely.
Nightmare probably goes a little higher overall than Friday.
Definitely. This whole series was pretty fun. Even seeing them as many times as I have, it still wasn't hard. I was expecting it to be really hard. If you remember during Nightmare, I wanted to give up. Like, I had wanted to give up on part 2. I was just really struggling. Where this, it never really happened. And that probably comes from the fact that we haven't done this in, like, almost 3 years. I'm so busy right now with, like, everything that I do. To take a day to spend with my friends and stuff, it was just a little bit easier.
Right.
But if we would have been watching Police Academy, I can tell you right now it wouldn't have been easier. Yeah, could you put into words kind of what the whole experience is like?
It is kind of like a weird, it's like the Breakfast Club, you know? You sit in the library all day, and then when you come out, you're like, yes, you know,
Yeah.
like we went through that together, and now it's over.
Right.
So we just Breakfast Club that. So on a Saturday.
What is it that makes us keep doing the marathons now that you've done one, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's an excuse to get together and bullshit around. It's an excuse to, have time. You build a strong camaraderie, enduring something together, even if it is something as lame as sitting on the couch and eating snacks all day. But it's nice to see how much you can take in and absorb through a full day of watching something from the same franchise, how the characters change, how different directors, the direction they take it, how the music changes, the era it's set in, what influences pop culture has.
So, this worked out well.
Yeah, it
I
was
think
fun.
everybody had a good time.
Yeah.
So, overall, you'd say pretty positive experience?
Yeah. It's, I think that once you compile everything, you get to see all this stuff, it's cool to look at. Because you see I'm sure with Brandon, he's very blunt when he gets tired. It's like, it sucks, I'm sure.
Right.
Or it's good.
Right.
So I love, that's my favorite thing with doing this kind of thing. And not many people can endure it.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you before, my brother-in-law, he told me straight up, he wouldn't be able to do it. He couldn't sit still for that long.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's something to be proud of or not, but
right.
nonetheless,
Exactly.
we did it.
Yeah, we did it, pulled through it, and it was fun. Yeah.
What would you do if you did another Can You Take It, would you want to do another horror, or would you rather do like a different?
I kind of like horror because it really lends itself to a lot. You can almost always find something fun about them because they kind of know when they're not taking themselves too seriously. I think, something which would be more challenging, like mentally, would be doing something like that's a shorter series but longer movies, maybe.
Lord of the Rings or something?
Yeah, like maybe you did. Yeah, like the extended version of Lord of the Rings and
All 6 Star Wars movies.
all
I've
6
wanted
Star
to do for a
Wars.
while.
Yeah, and that would feel pretty tedious,
Would you say this ranks as far as the other ones we've done, festivals?
This was the easiest other than Star Trek. Star Trek
Yeah.
was not difficult at all, but this was probably the second easiest in comparison.
So you have any final thoughts for fans of Friday the 13th, for you seeing them for the first time?
It does make me want to see the ones that I haven't seen now
Yeah.
and see how it's treated in the 90s and beyond. Because a lot of those towards the end felt very 80s and the ones in the beginning felt very 70s, so I'm interested to see how the franchise moves from there. So, but I think they're definitely worth a watch, and you won't feel like you wasted your time watching them.
Yeah.
So
overall, positive?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, one last question. What would you say right now, based off all the ones you guys have done so far, what would you like to do next if you had to pick one right now?
The series I would like to... I've gotten quite a few together that we could do, that I already have. I kind of want to do either Hellraiser or Children of the Corn, because I've never seen them. I mean, I've seen Hellraiser 1 and 2.
Right.
And I've seen Hellraiser 3. But after that, I've never seen them. But I did recently get them all. They're on DVD. And I think I did buy all the Children of the Corns recently too, because Miramax is selling those packs where you get all of them.
You gotta have another Puppet Master in there. You gotta have a risky one. I think both Nightmare
That's
and
true.
Friday are...
The riskier one would be I have a Smokey and the Bandit pack, which has 7 Smokey and the Bandit movies. And then the big one that everyone's talked about is Ernest.
Yeah,
Ernest
would be
films.
crazy.
That would be really hard. And the one that we've all decided that would be impossible would be the Land Before Time movies. 13 of those. But if you are watching this video, definitely you have any ideas, leave us comments below on series you would like to see us do. We're not going to be doing these every week. But I do hope, a couple of times a year, maybe twice a year, we can all get together and do this and share it with everybody, and hopefully they enjoy it.
Cool.